Welcome to Take Brain Talk with your girl Flavilla Phone Gang. And today I'm going to fuel your brain with some bomb knowledge. Are you ready? Let's do it. Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Tech Brains Talk. I am so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for being a listener. Tell the world about Tech Brains Talk podcast so I can grow my number of listeners and you can discover all the amazing individuals I have on the podcast first, which is super, super important. I'm lucky today because we're going to be talking about the scaling power of entering a tech collective. You know, you probably heard about that sentence before, which is, your network is your net worth. Yeah, it sounds like a cheesy sentence, but actually means a lot of things. I know that for me, from my own point of view as a business person, I would have not achieved where I am right now if it wasn't for the people that are part of my network. And I can also call it a collective. And I'm lucky because I have with me Kate Patton. And Kate Patton is part of Tech Nation. If you haven't heard about Tech Nation, where have you been? And anybody who's in technology would know Tech Nation. So let me tell you something about Kate. Kate is a native Texan who has made the UK her home. A bit like me, moved to the UK and realized, hey, I'm going to stay here. She has over a decade of experience in the dynamic Scottish tech scene. Now she utilizes her varied and substantial 20-year experience in her Entrepreneurial Engagement Manager position at Tech Nation. That's a long title, but it means a lot. Kate thrives to identify tech business founders in Northeast England and to support their ambitious growth plans to rapidly scale their businesses. Kate, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. The first time we talked, and obviously, I think people make a lot of assumption about brands that are highly and well recognized in terms of what they do. And when we're talking, I think there's a lot of assumption being made probably about Tech Nation, how Tech Nation can help. Maybe for anybody that doesn't know what Tech Nation is, can we start with an introduction?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So Tech Nation, we support ambitious digital tech entrepreneurs and their teams as they scale and help develop local ecosystems by connecting founders with the key stakeholders. We are primarily government funded, so this support is completely free and we take no equity. And by ambitious, we mean founders who are planning to disrupt the way things are done today in some way. They want to grow and scale nationally or internationally. And by digital tech, we mean companies that have developed unique software that can be considered intellectual property and which is central to their offering and to their service. Mm-hmm. So a part of our mission is also to be improving diversity, which is in technology, which is why I partly wanted to do this, to talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, Tech Nation is a wonderful, huge network across the whole of the UK. And like you were saying earlier, that is basically what our net worth is connecting people and making sure that collaborations are starting to happen and build that backbone, that DNA across the UK so that we can basically prosper and hopefully do well even through this Brexit kind of time that we're in right now.
Yeah, it sounds very dreamy, Tech Nation. If I was running a tech business, I work with tech business, but I'm not a tech business. If I was a tech business, I want to be part of Tech Nation. It sounds very dreamy. Is it open to everybody?
It is open to everyone. The main credentials that we look for, so we have different growth programs. So the first thing I need to do is I go out to my ecosystem here in the Northeast and I find those founders that are doing this really amazing technology. And usually I find them either on my own or someone else maybe knows someone or however it comes about. Then I actually speak to them and I see where they are in their growth journey. And then we have different programs that basically cater to that part of the journey. So we have something we've just launched, the newest open applications for a couple of them. So one is called Rising Stars. So those are these brand new tech businesses that are just incorporated within the past couple of years who are on the journey where they haven't gotten that big round of funding yet. They have a great idea. They're building the tech. And we want to highlight that. We want to help them along the way. So they learn about pitching a bit better. They learn how to present to investors. They get put out into the national media, so they get a lot of coverage and basically just raising their profile. The next thing that we do is something called upscale. So these are companies that have either already been through our Rising Star program or they're new companies to us that I've found that basically are past that point of that first Series A, but they're looking to really rapidly scale the business. That means in their hiring, that means in their product offering, and maybe their ambitions to grow internationally beyond the UK. Mm-hmm. And the last one that we're doing is something called Future 50. And this is where those companies have already gotten to this amazing monthly recurring revenue. They're in the millions. They're growing their business beyond what they may have ever aspired to. And we're kind of looking for those unicorns. Again, they're going to be basically giving jobs to people that are really essential and really growing the company so that then that spreads, again, those wings across the UK out into the international market. Mm-hmm. So those are kind of where we try to find where where these founders are sitting along that growth journey, and then encourage them to apply to our programs. And the application process is pretty straightforward. I've already hit on the credentials that we're looking for, but then we do kind of a judging, and we basically assess. And then once they're on whichever cohort or growth program that we have, then we just take them through the whole process of, again, kind of highlighting where their needs are and basically giving them that mentoring and that really important connection to investment. So again, we take no equity. It is all free. And we have loads of other resources as well that you can find on our website.
That sounds really good. I think I want to talk about, we're going to talk as well about diversity because the two of us, we really understand the importance, but also from a business point of view, because I think people always think about diversity as tick box exercise. But for me, I see diversity as a competitive edge and also helps you really understand how to grow your business more effectively. But we're talking about the importance of joining a collective. And as you explained, there's a lot of things going on in Tech Nation. For any tech entrepreneurs or tech companies out there listening to this, what are they missing? You talk about obviously the support and the journey working with Tech Nation, but not looking at Tech Nation, but looking at the individuals who are part of Tech Nation, how they've really benefited from being part of this collective.
Well, I'm going to take a step back there. So Tech Nation, I'm incredibly proud to work for such an organization. And partly why, as I'm going to illustrate, is when the Black Lives Matter movement happened, we took stock internally and immediately realized that although there's a lot of diversity overall in our company, it wasn't enough. And so from the executive down, we basically restructured the whole company. We've done something where we've taken outside consultants to come in, and we've had a lot of diversity inclusion kind of hearings and listening sessions and giving input and feedback. And we're building that into the structure of the company now so that we no longer are following, but we're leading from the front so that we hopefully will influence other organizations, other tech organizations to do the same. So, when it comes to the founders, we actually are setting up a Black Founders Forum. We're doing something around women in technology. We really want to find those female founders as well. There's a really kind of shocking numbers out there about how many women are basically leading companies, but how far they are away from getting investment. So that's a big piece of it. So we've been able to hold open office hours with Playfair Capital to basically just target those women founders and see if we can help in any way. So there's lots of touch points, and I won't go into all of them. But what I've been really proud of is that we are seriously taking this internally into our organization, and then we want to bring that back out. And like I said, we want to lead from the front by example.
Can I I'm gonna bring back what you just said about you when you saw this happening, you realize I think it's great. So there's two type of companies that were very active already. So say, okay, yeah, we knew that it was a problem, so we're gonna carry on our mission. And then there's other companies that, well, we're still not doing anything about it. I mean, it's the third business that we're now going to have to do something about it and change, really, not just say we're going to do something, we're actually going to act on it. But for any tech businesses listening to this right now, what have been some of the major takeaways that you realize that, did not support diversity? Obviously, we're not talking just about Black Lives Matter. We're talking about diversity from a female, disabled age as well, all these things. What are things that you've implemented? I would be curious to know that.
Well, we are basically, as we speak, we're implementing a roadmap. So we've taken all of these learning sessions and we've collated them, and we actually are building out an internal roadmap and structure where we can start highlighting actual touch points externally across the ecosystems. So you're right. It's not just about, color of your skin or anything along those lines. It's talking about every single bit of diversity. So your sexual orientation. I'm part of an LGBT movement here in the Northeast that's targeting tech founders here in that group. Also about women, like I said earlier, being in technology, to be very honest, being a woman in technology, oftentimes we'll walk into a room and you're one of maybe three in the room. And we want to change that. We want people to be able to feel free to pursue their dreams and their goals within, setting up businesses in tech. And we want them to feel that they are inclusive. They are part of our Tech Nation, and in any way that we can start doing that, we're going to implement it. I don't know all the particulars because we're still working that out right now, because we want to be very clear about how we do it. Very clear.
That's good. I like that. So what do you think makes a great collective?
Well, I think kind of what I'm saying, every person within the organization, Tech Nation, I would say is incredibly passionate about their job and very good at it. Very good at it. Incredibly smart, active, ambitious people that are behind the scenes in Tech Nation. And we are literally there to help. And you can just sense that. So I think that's what makes a great collective, is that passion, that desire to really do something good. A lot of the reason I took this position is I used to work in, very much in a commercial capacity. And, all my KPIs were driven by revenue. The only KPI that I have is to help. Literally to be a good person, to make sure that these founders are being able to be connected into our network. They are finding those commercial, that commercial traction, that they are meeting other founders. We have something called a founders network. Basically, once they apply to that, they're put into a group where they get to talk to other founders that are on maybe the same kind of journeys. It's a very lonely place to be a leader and to be an entrepreneur. And, sometimes there's a lot of frustration, there's burnout, we're human. So it's a place where they have this really nice open forum to be able to discuss, issues or problems that may be happening, or to celebrate things or best practices to share in that. I think that's what makes a great collective, is a real desire. There's no membership fee. So there's no reason for us to be doing this unless we just truly want to help. And that, I think that really comes across to the founders, that they know that we have their back. So if they start finding pitfalls, or they're, finding issues that they can't seem to overcome, they come to me first in the ecosystem. And then, of course, I take them into Technation, and we solve those problems as much as we can.
I love that. I know that, for example, from an agency point of view, I'm part of a number of what I want to call the collective, which is a agency collective. And, we find a lot of value. I think it's very interesting in our world, because a lot of us actually, offer the same type of services. But I've never really seen, people who offer the same services as me as competitors, because again, people choose to work with me because of me first, or because of somebody else on my team. And that's one thing that, you cannot change. There's only one like you. But I like as well the fact that it's so important as well in technology to start this conversation and not be afraid to be challenged, and having that. And again, as you say, it is a lonely world. And if you're not able to exchange, people understand your journey. I think as an entrepreneur, it's not easy. You put a lot of hours. You want people to understand exactly what you're going for. You can have this technical conversation, not always technical conversation, with people who understand the journey, and also can share, these are some of the stupid things I've done. If you can, I'm going to tell you what I've done, so you don't make the same mistakes. And I really, really like that. And I think that's a powerful thing. And, looking at Technation, and probably, as you mentioned, like there's we're trying to change the game around diversity and so forth. So trying to bring more women and trying to bring more, ethnicity and LGBT, as you mentioned as well. What would you say to them to say, like, join, be part of it? What would be your message to them?
To anyone that was wanting to join Technation?
Yeah, anyone who would join Technation doesn't fall into the dominant category of individuals. Right. Okay.
I say feel safe. Feel that it's a safe place to be yourself completely and openly. And I think we're losing a bit of that in this world. There's these great strides like we're talking about, but I think, there's a lot of pressure on people to conform through social media and other things. What I love about Technation is we truly believe in the individual. We truly believe in the ideas that come from that individual. And we don't worry about the other things that may feel like you're being, biased against or anything like that. It's really about who you are. And that's all that matters. And that in itself, I think, is a very liberating feeling and a very comforting feeling. So feel safe is my word.
Yes, I love that. That's such a great way to say, Kate. And I was telling people, like, I've been in rooms as a woman quite often where I'm the only one, not even just a woman, but I'm the only woman, not even just Black, but just the only woman. And I think I'm probably one of these crazy persons that have embraced the fact that I was the only person in the room, but not everybody feels, in such a way. And I think it's important to just accept your fact that because you are the only one in the room, you are meant to be here. And that's one thing that I love a lot. But that's the end of the first part of this episode. We'll be back in a couple of seconds.